Hi everyone, welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds with
Mike.
I'm Julia, and we are continuing our spooky month, but I'm going to give a trigger warning right now before we go any further. So if you guys do want to click away, you can. So this does deal with domestic violence, so abuse against a partner, and there was a case of almost sexual assault. So if you do not want to listen to this, you are more than welcome to click away. You can stay around, but that is your trigger warning.
Yeah, and since what?
We'll get into that after the hint and everything. So, this week's hint is Finding Nemo, and I am disappointed that it was not mentioned at all in the movie.
Yes.
So, we are talking about It Ends With Us, which it is October and it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but it is also Spooky Month, and sometimes your spouse can be the scariest thing that you can live with. So, like, it can be scarier than any type of serial killer, any type of scary movie, story, whatever. Sometimes that can be the scariest thing that you can be with. And I feel that it kind of still fits with our theme for this month.
Yes. All right. What? So, pretty much, the movie starts off with, how can I say this? A woman played by
Blake Lively.
Yes, Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Her name is Lily Bloom. So we'll go by Lily for the rest of the movie when we talk about her.
Yeah, and pretty much she's going back home because her father died, and we don't see why she can't write anything good about her father at her funeral because her mom says, pick 5 things to say. And throughout the movie, we'll see out why more. It explains why.
Yeah. So, she is supposed to give the eulogy, like Mike said. She gets up on stage, and we just see a blank sheet of paper that said, well, it was a napkin. It said 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And she, in the book, it says that she, the reason why she couldn't, like, she couldn't say anything because people thought that she was so overcome with guilt, or not guilt, but, grief that she couldn't say anything because she just got up there and didn't even say anything and then just got off stage.
Yes.
So then this is kind of where the book kind of starts to deviate from the movie starts to deviate from the book. If you guys actually want us to do like a comparison, I can get Mike to listen to the book and we can always do a comparison. So I'm not going to try and like go off topic with the differences, but in the book or in the movie she's already talking about how she's going to have a flower shop. Well, first off, she goes up on top of a roof of an apartment building, and there she meets a neurosurgeon called Ryle, who is placed by Justin Baldoni, I think is how his last name is pronounced. He is also the director for this piece, or for this film, and I mean, I think he did a pretty good job with the direction.
Mm-hmm.
But she meets him. She already sees some of his anger because he kicks a chair, and then he sees her, and then they start talking, and she reveals that she's going to be opening up a flower shop, which in the book she didn't have it yet, and you know, he says that he wants to have sex with her, like right then and there, like just met her. I mean, people do that nowadays anyways, so...
Yeah, they do. Most of the time. But yes, it cuts to,
They make out, and then he gets a phone call and has to leave.
Yes. And it gets to, Lily's, the shop she finally got. And I think, Jenny Slate's character comes in.
Her name is Alyssa.
Melissa.
Alyssa.
Anyways, comes in, wants to, it's kind of like looking for a job, kind of. They're just going off by, you can tell they were having fun with it and everything, and she pretty much hires her and they fix up the shop.
Yeah, so Alyssa is one of those rich girls who doesn't really need a job, but is bored, basically.
I don't know, didn't we work with a guy who did that? Said who did that?
What do you mean?
Jerome?
A little bit, yeah. Jerome, if you're watching this. So, yeah, but yeah, she was just a rich girl who was bored. They finally they're working on their shop when her phone rings, Alyssa's phone rings, and it's her husband, and she says, "Hey, we're across the street at the shop, bring my brother." So then her husband comes in, Marshall, and then Ryle comes in, and there's definitely some chemistry, some tension. He can't get her out of his mind. And she just is kind of like, like she's not, she doesn't, and she mentions this a couple of times, she doesn't do casual. And, so then they end up going to, like a bar, later on, and Ryle's like, "Give me just one kiss and I'll forget about you." And they kiss, but he doesn't forget about her. So then finally, the grand opening of, I think at that point, we have a flashback of her, before her flower shop opens, we have a flashback of her and this kid named Atlas when they were in high school. Which, fun fact, both of those actors that played the younger versions, they were in their 20s. The one that played the young Lily was 23, and the one that played the young Atlas was 26, because they're 25 or 24 and 27 respectfully now, which I can kind of understand why they would want to use older people. And, I mean, they didn't actually look like that they were in their 20s either. Well, they did look pretty young.
Well, they do look young, but also, sometimes it's also a safer choice. But hell, pretty much the whole cast in The Breakfast Club, most of them were in their fucking 30s.
Yeah, and there is a Romeo and Juliet movie that came out in, like, the 60s, where the actress was 16. Or was it Claire Danes that was 16? Someone was definitely 16 in one of the Romeo and Juliet movies. And the lead, Romeo, was in his 20s.
What was it, Ralph Macchio? I think he was, 29 when he did the first Karate Kid movie. I'm like, I was like, seriously?
So, I mean, it can work. And that was just a fun fact when I was looking up the actors last night. But... So the young Lily sees this guy sneaking out of this abandoned house next door. And she realizes that he is a homeless guy. And so she takes food to him, and then they kind of start to become friends.
Yeah.
And then Lily opens up her shop. Ryle is their very first customer. He buys something, gives it to Lily. Buys a flower, gives it to Lily. And so as the movie progresses, you see them get together. Like, they start dating. But then you also learn more about Lily's childhood. And then you find out that her father was abusing her mother.
Yeah, also another fucking shithead.
Yeah, so... where Finding Nemo was supposed to come into all of this was Lily really liked Ellen DeGeneres. She watched Ellen every single day, and her diary entries were framed as letters to Ellen. So instead of saying, like, "Dear Diary, this happened," or whatever, it would be like, "Dear Ellen," and then she would explain what happened in the day, like her younger self would. So, like, every interaction that she had with Atlas was just written out as like a letter to Ellen. And she really liked Finding Nemo. And Finding Nemo was not mentioned at all. I don't know if it was licensing or what, but in a shop that we will mention here in a minute, you can see for a brief second behind Blake a painting. It's like half obscured, but it says "Keep on Swimming," and that's what I was actually going to use for the hint, but decided, I don't know, let's do Finding Nemo because we're not actually doing Finding Nemo. And then it wasn't even mentioned at all. So, it was at, I think it was, Alyssa's birthday party that they start to get together. They go into the room, they start to get busy, and then she withdraws her consent because she doesn't do casual.
Yeah, and they just spent the night together. That's
Yeah.
pretty much. Then, you know, Melissa.
Alyssa.
Oh my god. It's an I or an M. Come on.
It's no M, Mike. Remember, no M.
Either way, comes in, tells her that, you know, warns her that he goes through women, and I'm like, I think she had a feeling that there was something wrong with her brother, and she was actually warning him. It sounded like it was a funny moment, but I think it was an actual warning.
Yeah, because she does, but the thing was, Lily knew what she was getting herself into with the aspect that Ryle doesn't do relationships. But then he asks her out, like, right there in front of his sister, and she accepts. And so all of these interactions that they have, it's like almost like she moved in immediately with him because she was over there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, it was kind of gradual. So, I mean, that's one of the issues that I had, was that it just cut out a lot of things, condensed a lot of things. I understand it's a movie. I understand.
Yeah.
You can't have everything. I get it. But, so, she, the first instance of violence against Lily was Lily got up one morning. He was making breakfast. It was burning. He goes to grab it without an oven mitt. They are already drinking too, because they're having mimosas. And she's kind of like laughing a little bit. And that's, I'll explain the difference of how it was in the book in a minute. But he smacks her and knocks her to the floor. And then she he's like trying to check on her, and then she pushes him, and his hand fell onto some broken glass, and he had a very big operation the next day. In the book, it happened in Lily's apartment. She was making a casserole. It started to burn. He tried to grab it, and then he did smack her. And then she was trying to pick up the shards of glass, and then he did it, and then he cut himself. So, if I remember, I definitely remember there was a casserole. So, and it happened in Lily's apartment. Yep. And so then she just kind of just started to play it off as, it was an accident.
Well, this is how if you look at it, there was times where there was a cut for a sec, right? Like, say, when he hits her in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like making it look like an accident. But when we get to it, you will see how she remembers it. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah. So, she started, like, covering it up with makeup and everything. And she doesn't draw the parallels before. So then they go to this new restaurant. Well, she went to this restaurant with her mother before.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. They went to a restaurant called Roots, and that's where she sees Atlas for the second time. After all these years, she sees Atlas. And that's when she started to remember, oh, shit. This was the guy that took my virginity. So then they go to Roots for the second time. Atlas sees how Ryle's hand is bandaged, and then he sees her black eye, and he immediately assumes she's being abused. He wants to help her get out of that abusive relationship. And then Ryle and him get into a fight, and then he tells Ryle to get the fuck out of his restaurant. And to basically not come back. And he's like, is that the guy that you wasted your virginity on and everything like that? And it's, you know, she follows after Ryle, and she's like, I just love you. I only love you. You're the only one. I love you, and everything. And then you know, the next scene is they're in, oh yeah, and Alyssa and her husband are also pregnant. And the next scene, I do believe you see Alyssa with a belly, and she's talking to Lily in the flower shop, and Atlas comes in.
Yep.
And Atlas wanted to, said that he's been wanting to come over and talk to her for a while. But Ryle was there, and he didn't think that it would have been right. So he was able to go in that time. He wrote down his phone number and put it in the back of her case. Lily forgot that it was back there. And in the book, she memorized his number, but in the movie she didn't. So she's cooking dinner one day, or that night he's cooking dinner, or she's cooking dinner. He comes in, she asks him, are you happy? And he's like, yeah, why wouldn't I be? And she's like, I was just curious. And then she told him about how she had been, you know, her father had been abusive, you know, hit her mother. And he went into the bedroom, and, well, no, that was later. Or was it the same? No, it was later. So later on, you see her talking to her mom, and she asks him to go put her phone on the charger. He does. He drops it. He finds the number, and he throws her phone down, breaks a lamp, throws her phone down, I do believe. And then he's leaving. She's going after him, trying to stop him from leaving so they could talk. And then she falls down the stairs and gets knocked out. And when she wakes up, she's laying on bed, and he is taking care of her head wound. And then he's making sure that she, you know, can still remember, you know, things so she doesn't have a concussion. Because, you know, he's a neurosurgeon. And then, oh gosh, Lily okay, so then Lily, or not Lily, Alyssa has her baby. Yeah, because then they got married, then they were talking to her mother, and then he pushed her down the stairs. So that was after they got married. And then not too long after that, Alyssa comes in with a magazine. It's like, look, we're in the top 10, you know, news stories to look out for in Boston or something like that. And, you know, Roots is on there too. Ryle comes home. You know, she had made like a good, nice dinner with light, or, you know, candles and everything. And he's like, oh yeah, I saw it. And then he's like, I want you to look at something. He opened up the magazine, and he says, read what you know, what they wrote about Roots here. And they had talked to Atlas, and he had said that, you know, everything went back to Lily. And Lily has this heart tattoo on her collarbone, because Atlas had made her a carved heart out of an oak tree that was in her yard. And he basically he bites it, and then he tries to force himself onto her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're in a marriage, your partner can still assault you. So if you say no, no means no, no matter what kind of relationship you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And just remember that, guys.
Yep.
You can always say no. Just because you're married doesn't mean anything. So then she starts having flashbacks of when she saw her father do the exact same thing to her mother. Now, during all of this, you're also seeing the flashbacks of Lily and Atlas. And Lily lost her virginity to him. You see that. You see how she's trying to help him. They grow closer. All of that. Their relationship seems like it would have been a healthy choice. But she went for the red flag. And people always seem to go for red flags for some reason. I don't know why.
We're not going to get into the specifics, because if I say something, I'm going to be a dick.
Oh, probably.
Because they'll say, "Oh, he's just another Sigma male, can get laid." I'm like, fuck you, I've been laid before, but besides the point.
No one needed to know that, Mike.
But besides the point, we always ignore the red flags that we don't see. That's the problem. It's the same thing in any relationship. Some people ignore the red flags in regular relationships. Some ignore it in friends with benefits relationship. Some ignore it in BDSM relationships. It's just sometimes we...
Oops. Accidentally squeaked Chewy's toy.
Either way, we ignore the red flags and we don't see the problem. That's the problem. Now, every time we do see someone with a green flag, they still think that's a problem. I'm like, really?
Yeah. So, she does manage to get away from him.
Which is a good thing.
And she goes over to Roots. In the book, she calls Atlas. But in the movie, she goes over to Roots. He sees her. He hugs her. He takes her to the hospital. And then she finds out that she's pregnant.
Yep.
And Atlas takes her back to his house. And he's like, you can stay for as long as you want. You can have the room. I'll take the couch. In the book, he had a spare bedroom that she was able to stay in. So, but she does stay with him for a little while. And then he reveals to her that the reason why he was in that abandoned house was, like, his mom had kicked him out because he had tried to stand up for her when she was also being abused. And, but he revealed to her that he had gone to that abandoned house to kill himself. And she basically saved his life. And, they go over he takes her back to her car. She hugs him, or he hugs her really tightly and says, if you ever feel like you need to fall in love again, fall in love with me. And she goes over and she talks to Alyssa, tells Alyssa what's going on. And Alyssa says, basically, like, even though he's her brother, if Lily went back to him, she would never forgive Lily for it.
And this is why I'm glad that was more mature, because there's sometimes sisters would believe the brother more than over the victim, and that's why I'm like, no. Yeah. But I'm glad that they didn't do that route.
Yeah, so before she went over to the restaurant when she was sitting in her car after she got away, that's when Mike was mentioning she started to remember what has actually been happening, and everything was definitely not an accident. He had thrown her down, he had pushed her down the stairs, he had slapped her, and then we see him trying to force himself onto her, even though she kept saying, no, 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 stop, I don't want this. And then, it looks like she moved out of now her mom lives in Maine, but her shop's in Boston, and it kind of looked like she might have been living with her mother, or it was just a new place. Like, I don't know, they didn't really explain it very well, because her mom was over with her, helping her build her baby stuff, like her crib, and she goes, her mom says, "Oh, I wish your dad was alive because he was much better at stuff like this." And then Lily says, "Well, why did you stay?" And then her mom said, "Well, because I loved him, and
She couldn't.
it would have been harder for her to leave."
Well,
and she loved him.
Well, that, and she said it was hard to leave because of her, mostly.
Yeah. So, and I'm just wondering if it's like that for a lot of people who are in abusive relationships. I mean, like, I've been abused as a child, and I am now out of that situation, obviously. I didn't have much of a choice anyways, so. And, but, an adult, I mean, if you have the means to leave, you should definitely leave. Like, no matter how much you love that person. But, she does invite Ryle over, and Ryle does helps her finish up the nursery. He wants her to come home. She says no. And then the next day, or the next scene, she's giving birth. And they give birth to a baby girl. There's one thing we haven't mentioned yet, was Alyssa and Ryle had an older brother named Emerson who had passed away when they were kids. I can't remember how he passed away. Remember?
They were playing a cowboy Indians game. I forget what it was, but they found a real gun, and
okay.
So and
that, I think that's when Alyssa said that Ryle started to kind of shut down a little bit after that.
And once,
they named their daughter Emerson.
Yeah, and once, Lily gave birth, was it Ryle? Ryle asked her to come home, but she says no. And she says, what happens if she's grown up saying that her husband, boyfriend, whatever, threw her down the stairs or accidentally slapped her?
Or tried to force himself on her.
And, what would you do? And he answered her question correctly. And he knew she can't come back.
Yeah, he said he would want her, he would tell her to leave. And Lily had filed for divorce, so they were going to divorce. And then at the end, you see they go to visit her father's grave. She leaves that little napkin with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 written on it. And then she meets up with, you see Emmy, a little bit bigger. She hands it over to her mom. She runs into Atlas at some sort of shop or outdoor area, like a farmer's market, or it's like some type of outdoor market. And then that's when she tells him that I'm not with Atlas anymore, or with Ryle anymore. And then that's pretty much how the movie ends. So in the book, there is a sequel to the book called It Starts With Us. I don't know if that's ever going to be made into a movie, considering what's going on with Justin Baldino, whatever his last name is, and Baldoni or whatever, and Blake Lively. There's this huge lawsuit between the two of them.
And I'm staying out of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that either, but
it's like a he says, she says case, pretty much.
So I'm not even going to get into specifics of that. I am hoping, Justin Baldoni has come out and said that he thinks that Blake Lively would be good at directing that movie. So, maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't, I don't know. But Blake Lively was also acting a little sus while she was on tour talking about her movie. Justin was spending a lot of time talking about how this movie is about domestic violence and how you should get help if you need it. She was talking about her clothing line.
like I said, let's not get.
But still, like, you should be talking about the movie and not a clothing line.
Yeah.
I've seen the clips of it. So at the end of this at the end of this video, I'm gonna have a little end card up because I do all the editing. I'm gonna have an end card up that's gonna have resources. I don't care if you're male, if you're female, if you're non-binary, trans, whatever. No matter what you are, you should not be subjected to abuse from your partner.
That's true.
So there will be resources for you if you need it. And yes, men can be abused too. Don't come at me in the comments saying, "Oh, men can't be." No, they can be abused too.
They can be.
They can.
We had that Amber Heard and Depp trial, but like I said, men can be abused. You just sometimes don't know it because, like, there are some women who will say why they don't come forward because they're scared, and that's what men are too. They're scared too.
And there have been cases where women will lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
They will also lie about being assaulted because they regret sleeping with the man the next day.
But like I said, we'll have everything up to show you who to call and
just resources.
And the resources and everything you need to see.
If you guys want us to cover, do a comparison on the book, let us, between the book and the movie, let us know. If you also want us to cover the second book, It Starts With Us, let us know as well. Because then I can get Mike to listen to it. And then we can talk about it. I'll have to go back and re-listen to it. But I will have, all that will be at the end after, all this. So,
yep.
If you guys need it, it will be there. It will be available for you guys. And I think that would be pretty much it about, It Starts With Us, It Ends With Us. It was actually, I know critics gave it a 50-something%, and then the audience gave it an 80-something%. So, I don't know what the critics were expecting. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was great. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because I've read the book. So, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. But I'm going to go ahead and give you guys this next week's hint. Next week's hint is going to be Officer Doofy. So we are continuing some spooky stories, spooky movies for the month. This was just kind of this one did follow our brand a little bit with spooky. So like and subscribe. Mike is almost done collecting all of his stuff. I think he just needs 5 more items for his Mitsuri cosplay, and then we will do a video on that when he gets all of the stuff gathered up. I am thinking about maybe cosplaying too, just not as Mitsuri, maybe. I don't know yet. We'll see.
All right.
But yeah. So we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.